there's a bigger thing, there's a Star Trek thing beyond anything that you're doing tonight. What sort of commitment do you feel to the bigger cultural phenomenon of Star Trek and the fans and everything? And you must be conscious at some point of playing the role that there is such fandom around it that you have a commitment to those people as well as a script.
I don't feel a commitment, a sense of responsibility toward the fans, not anymore. I had a commitment towards my character and towards the series. And it was easy for me that Picard was all in all a pretty admirable sort of person. If he'd been a scumbag, it might have been really different. But he wasn't. And I was conscious, because I know families watched it. I've known several instances where people have told me it was the one time a week when our family came together and we would sit and watch a piece of entertainment. The children were allowed to stop doing their homework. We didn't have meals. We sat, we watched an episode, and then as a family we talked about it. So I felt a responsibility. There was a sense of a sort of role model beginning to grow up in the way that man behaved and thought and what his actions were. The most satisfying piece of mail I ever received, and I don't know why I opened this particular letter, because I don't read all the letters. Some of them I do, and someone gives me special ones to read. But this was from a police sergeant in the Las Vegas police force. It was not a long letter, but he wrote a little bit about his job and about how dark it could be and how troubling and disturbing it could be. And towards the end of this note, he said, "But, and this is the reason for my writing to you, when I've had a particularly bad day, when I've seen aspects of humanity that have really discouraged my belief in any fundamental goodness in humankind, when I've seen death and blood on the sidewalk and bad people triumphing, I come home and I go to the shelves and I take down an episode."
Great legacy. I think this is a really good point to now go to the audience, because I don't think I could follow it. Can we put the house lights up? Now, as I said, we have some mobile microphones. So do stick your hand up in the air if you have a question, and please wait till the microphone comes towards you so that everybody can hear. Now, obviously I've got some mics here, but I'm doing my best. If we start just up in there at the front of the room.
Thank you. I know for a while there was talk of you doing a Spider Jerusalem character in an adaptation of Transmetropolitan. And I would have been really excited to see that. But I was wondering if there was any other comic books that you were a big fan of and would like to see adapted for the screen or something.
Thank you. Did everybody hear that? Yeah. I am not a comic book fan in the classic sense of comic book fans. I'll tell you, the very first time that X-Men was ever mentioned to me, I'd done a film with Richard Donner, and I was doing ADR at Warner Brothers, and I got a note saying, "Would you look in on Lauren Schuler Donner's office before you leave the studio?" Lauren is his wife, and together they run the Donner Company. And I found her office, and I'd met her a couple of times, and I walked into the door, and she picked up something from her desk and said, "What do you think of this?" And she was holding up a comic book. And I was still standing in the doorway, and I said, "Why am I on the front cover of a comic book?" And she said, "Exactly." So, you know, because I resisted doing X-Men, because I felt there is a sense in which Star Trek became an albatross. I mean, I have actually had a very distinguished Hollywood director, when I talked my way into his office to talk about doing a part in an upcoming movie, say to me, "Why would I want Jean-Luc Picard in my movie?" So I resisted X-Men, because one albatross was enough, but two albatrosses, although I've also been quoted as saying one cannot have too many franchises in a career. So I didn't. Comic books mean nothing to me. I read Eagle, which had, of course, Dan Dare on the front cover, so that was science fiction. I read the Beano, the Dandy, the Adventure, and Hotspur, and they were reading comics. They weren't picture book comics. Spider Jerusalem was another matter. For a number of years, I had my own production company in Hollywood. It was run by my then wife and run terrifically well. Every television project we developed got made, television films that is, and every one of our feature film projects never got off the ground. And Spider Jerusalem, if there are some of you there who don't know the Spider Jerusalem comics, I'm just, of course, now the generic title for the whole series is Transmetropolitan. Thank you very much. Don't know these comics, Transmetropolitan. I recommend them to you because they are an extraordinary piece of art and writing, screenwriting. And there is a character in it. The hero is called Spider Jerusalem, and he's an extraordinary character. And I would have played him if ever we had got it made, largely because he's got no hair. You save on makeup. But we just could not get it off the ground. Somebody will. Somebody will discover Spider Jerusalem. They're so dark, though. They're so grim. I don't know if the world maybe is really ready yet for animated Spider Jerusalem, or indeed live action Spider Jerusalem. Thank you.
Got some other hands in there. There's one right in the back row. Sorry to make you work up. If we got right up to the back row, and then if we can go along to, I think there was somebody towards the end, maybe about 4 rows from the back over that side. That's not bad. Well, take the one just at the.
I have a Shakespeare question regarding the stage and film performances. You said during a film you can see an actor think. Does that perfect the overall performance? Because on stage, obviously, you don't get the full effect.
Well, you do, but in a different context. I think my stage acting got better when I began to learn more about screen acting, because I could bring the same processes of reasoning and thinking and living internally into all of my stage work. And you can see actors think on stage. It's just that it does not have the same intimacy that it has on the screen, because the camera can look into an actor's eyes in the way that an audience cannot. So you have to find other means of suggesting what's going on in those eyes and in the heart and head.
Next question, I think we've got over right at the edge there.
Hi there. It's kind of a vaguely similar question. I was just interested to hear your opinions, Patrick, on adaptations of Shakespeare for cinema, where it's a more cinematic adaptation rather than using the text, because you lose all Shakespeare's text. Whereby, does it still have merit? Do you think if it's done well enough?
Well, I've got to say I am absolutely for them. If only because my company, one of the things we produced for television for Showtime was a film called King of Texas, which was set in Texas in 1841, just after the Mexican-American War. And it was an exact replica telling of